Greetings, everybody, or anybody. Can anybody hear me? Hope everybody's doing well. It's Thursday, and I think the most entertaining thing would have been let's see, can you hear me now? I think the most entertaining thing that you could possibly have seen was me trying to get ready for this live stream. It is just a comedy of errors. It really is, because I was trying to do something fancy and it didn't work. It didn't work because I don't have a USB extension cable. That's all I needed to make a USB cable a bit longer. How's everybody doing? What's it like in Europe today? Is it still winter over there? It's 70 degrees here, and I'm getting ready to pour Decon 90 all over myself. I shouldn't do that, should I? Let me try something else here. So, we're talking bugs today. I might have to go and get my chemical burns treated after that little escapade. Anyway, I wanted to talk briefly about what we're doing this weekend and explain to you what we're doing today and kind of fill you in on what's been going on. We're in the middle of Stereo Month, which has turned into something a lot more interesting than I thought it would. Stereo Month was so that we could get everybody comfortable with the idea of shooting stereo images in case you wanted to enter the competition in June, which will be for a big prize. Maybe even as big a prize as the prize that Robert donated for a competition, which is an absolutely gorgeous Nikon lens, a 50mm f2 lens, and all the trimmings to use on your macro rig, no matter what kind of camera you use. He's got all the adapters and everything for it, plus the bellows. So it's a big prize, is what I'm saying, and you need to know how to shoot stereo if you're going to win that prize, because that's going to be what it's about. So that's what we've been doing. We've been talking about stereo pretty much every time we get together in one form or another. And let me tell you what happened on Monday to explain what we're doing today. On Monday, Tuesday. It's been that kind of week, I'm sorry. On Tuesday, I did a little demonstration while we were talking, because I had a moderator here. Amy was here, and Bud was here too. And they were doing the moderating, so I didn't have to look at the messages and everything. I could just work. And I cleaned a bee so that we could photograph it. It was this bee that you may or may not know. It's my little orchid bee that has survived, gosh, everything so far. Almost didn't survive Tuesday though, and we did the cleaning live on the show, and I thought it went pretty well. I mean, we got to show everything off, and then I photographed it afterwards because I was going to use it for Saturday, and it was filthy. In fact, I was embarrassed how filthy it was. So filthy was it that I'm going to actually show you how filthy it was. I'm going to actually show you the photographs that I took, and then you'll know. It wasn't just filthy, there was something else wrong with it. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about. So these are the pictures that I took. The stereo pair is right here, and there you go. If you're a spectacles viewer, you may be able to see that that's a very nice 3D picture. I mean, you can see hopefully a really clear three-dimensional bee sitting out in front of the other two if you've got spectacles. If not, I'd really need to take it into Zerene to show you what it looks like the other way around. I could do that though, because I have the technology. Let's do that. Let's just take it over to Zerene and flip it around, and then you cross-eyed people can look at it too. So here it is in Zerene, and we'll go to Tools, stereo, view existing stereo pair from input file, and there they are. Now we can swap sides so that those of you who look at these things cross-eyed can now see, I hope, this bee come into full beauty as a stereo image. Can anybody see that? Let's see, Angie, you're cross-eyed in the best possible way. Can you see it? Curious is here. Hey, Curious. Bud's here as well. Fantastic. And Slavek Gabris. We haven't met. Good to meet you. Arthur. Good to have you with us. So, can anybody see this as a stereo pair? I mean, as a resolve this issue, this image. I mean, clearly. Well, if you can, let me go back to the way it was. I want to show you something. First of all, that's the way I look at them with my spectacles. Let me just make sure I've got it the right way around. Ian Wilkinson can see it, so we're in good shape. And yeah, this is the way with the spectacles that you can see it best. So here's me thinking, Saturday, I'm going to spend 2 hours, and I'm going to help everybody see how you do this and show you all of the tricks and how to get it done right. So I sent these pictures over to Rik. Rik Littlefield is the guy that invented Zerene and does more. Well, he basically pioneered this whole synthetic stereo thing. He invented this, and this is what Zerene does. And he's truly an expert at it. And I sent him the pictures, and he looked at them, and he didn't say much. In fact, he didn't say anything, just grunted. And anyway, I met with him last night, and we went over them. And these are not good pictures. And they're not good pictures for a couple of reasons. But probably the most important is that there's something going on if we look really closely. Let me go back to Lightroom here and show you what I mean. Well, let's go to the source image. We'll just pick one at random. So this is one of the inputs, and as soon as it loads all the way, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I used a pretty standard shortcut that I've been using for years and years and years for estimating the step length. I didn't calculate it because I've been using this same estimate with I thought no problems for a long time. When you do stereo imagery, though, you really have to have short steps. And not only were my steps not short enough, and if we zoom in, way in, even to beyond pixels, you'll see that I have focus banding here. As I go from one image to the next, you'll see that the ridge in the middle here is not in focus. There's a soft area. And we'll keep going, and you'll see an even more marked one on the other side here. So we've got an area that's in focus. We go to the next image. Well, it was not aligned. Sorry, hang on. Let's go back. So we've got an area in focus right here, and then we jump to the next image, and the area of focus is over here, and we have a band that's never in focus. This is a very fundamental mistake, and you couldn't see any of that because you were looking at me looking at the screen. I apologize. Let me show you that again, or let me show it to you for the first time. So we have an area here that's in focus at the front of the bee's face. We go to the next image, and it's not aligned, but the next image you see the focus has shifted, and this area has never been in focus. So we go to the next image. No, we don't. Not by clicking on there, we don't. There we go. And the focus jumps again, leaving another strip that's soft in between. It's not terrible. And when you look at the actual stacked images at something less than pixels, it looks okay. But it's really not. This is where the layers have separated, is what they call this in stereo photography. And the layers have separated because my steps were too big. And if I had used a calculator, or if I had used Rik's calculator to actually calculate what I should have done, I wouldn't have been taking 200 or 250 micron steps. I would have been taking steps of about 69 millimeters, 70 millimeters, 70 microns was what we calculated. So this led to a conversation that has resulted in Rik agreeing to come on Saturday and go over all of this stuff. So it is going to be an advanced focus stacking stereo imagery masterclass, and it's still a Zoom meeting, so we'll actually be able to ask him questions. He'll be here with me, and we'll go through the whole advanced stereo imaging workflow that I told you we would do. But we're also going to get into some really important stuff, like how do you calculate step length in a way that's conservative enough that you can do stuff like this and get pictures that are better than this. And I didn't even show you how filthy it was. I'm going to show you that too, because that's the other thing that disappointed me. It's got dirt all over it, scraps of dirt everywhere. So my cleaning job was appalling. What I thought I might do was re-clean this guy, for those of you who weren't here on Tuesday, show you the steps and do it properly this time. But do I have a moderator this time? That's the question. Let me see. Angie can see it both ways. That's what I call an open-minded photographer. Let me bring you guys back over here. And oh, Chris is here. Good to have you. Yeah, I know you didn't. You saw only my face. Now my face is back again. It's bad, I know. But let me show you what I've got as far as cameras go. I've got my my cell phone here so that we can watch what I'm doing, not under the microscope. And then when we get over to the microscope, we'll have kind of the best look we can, which is this. It's this is my hand wiggling its fingers. That's my D850 pointed underneath the microscope. I actually have I'll show it to you. No, I can't show it to you. I have a Fuji camera on top of the microscope, but for the life of me, I can't get it to work. I mean, the camera works, but I can't get it to hook up to the software. I've tried and tried and tried, and that's what I was doing when I came on here, all frazzled. So I'm working on it though, and I wanted to show everybody, if I haven't shown you this before, this is a 50-50 beam splitter. This is used on the microscope I have for surgical beam splitting, so that two surgeons can see the same thing and the surgeon can record video while doing the procedure. So, which is the way I'm used to using a microscope in the operating room. So this will actually allow me to work and show you at the same time. The problem is, it has a tube that comes out here that goes to the camera, and I don't have that. I can't find one anywhere. If any of you have well, yeah, I can't find one anywhere. One day one will show up, and when it does, we'll be able to see. In the meantime, we're just going to have to do the best we can looking at this picture. This is where it'll be in my little pile of drying combs. Okay, so I'm going to answer a couple of questions here while I'm looking at the screen. Oh my goodness, there's lots of messages today. Jim's here from Alabama. No, you're not from Alabama, Jim. You're from up north. Sorry about that. I'm thinking of another Jim. Joseph's here. Welcome. And Ray from Ecuador. Holy moly. That's fantastic. Welcome. Hoi hoi, Patrick. Let me see. Detroit is Joseph, of course. Gilles from Quebec. Still snowing up there, Gilles? And from the northeast of England, Hem Brodian is back. I'm so glad to see Robert. This is Robert Wester, who's the generous donor who gave us the lenses, in addition to another 50mm EL Nikkor f2.8, which will be another prize coming up here fairly soon. We've got some very, very nice prizes, you know. And Rob from Peebles. I know Peebles. Been there. Spent my summers there as a kid. And evening to Lance and Mike and Ingolf. Greetings, Ingolf. I hope your winter is coming to an end over there. Ralph is homesick for Peebles. Anybody who's been to the borders would be homesick for it, I think. And Ian Wilkinson from South Devon. South Devon is the prettiest seashore, I think, in all of the world. Along the Purbeck coast, where oh, what's it called? What's that amazing rock formation that the sea comes through? Purbeck Cove, something like that. I love that place. It's beautiful. Right on the English Channel. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting a bit nostalgic there. Lee, welcome. Glad you made it. And let me see who else is here. Alistair from Carlisle. Great. Everybody's here. Even Allan from Tennessee made it. Good to see you, Allan. And Art is here. Good, because we were talking about you. Were your ears burning last night, Arthur? They ought to have been. Victor is checking in from Israel. Fantastic. And Eric from France. Good French name there, Eric. And yeah, Switzerland. Armin from Switzerland. Brilliant. This is just so exciting. It feels quite cosmopolitan. They're sitting in Alabama and talking to people the world over. I love it. Slavek, where are you from? You must be somewhere in Eastern Europe, right? Is that profiling when I say that? Just because of your name? Probably is. I take that back. I didn't say that. Angie's from Newcastle. We know that. And there we go. I think I've said hi to everybody, so I can get on with cleaning my beat. Laura is here from Peoria, which is also in Eastern Europe somewhere, I think. Bud is asking, because I am not going to be able to tell him how he signs in as a moderator. Bud, I think you go to the three little dots at the top by the chat. Nope, that's not it. It's one of those things at the top, one of those little flaggy things. I can't press them, because if I press them, it's going to, it'll definitely turn everything off if I press one of these. But it's up at the top. There's one that allows your name's in there, so it'll recognize you. Okay, so I'm going to pull my B out, and if anybody who is moderating ends up able to do so, then just jump in, and I'm going to switch cameras over to the phone and show you what's going on over here as I clean him. The problem last time was I kind of rushed it, and I wasn't paying super close attention to what I was doing. And what I really did was kind of a sham cleaning and drying, and it looked like he was in pretty good shape. But of course, when you actually start photographing him, it was just terrible. This app I'm using, iPhone Camo, is a pretty decent app. If anybody ever has need of a way to turn your iPhone into an extra camera to work on your computer thing, it works pretty well. So our B has been in alcohol, and he's pinned as well, and he's freshly pinned because I repinned him on Tuesday. If I repeat myself from Tuesday, please forgive me, but some of this stuff is important. This guy has really been through the wars. Look at him though. Look how beautiful his color is, even coming out of the alcohol. We don't want him to dry straight from the alcohol, because it'll happen too quickly. He's been in ethanol, and it'll leave residue, and yeah, it can cause all kinds of problems. So what I'm going to do first off is just rinse him off in some water. This is just plain water, and this will replace the alcohol. Now, it won't get all the way inside him in just a couple of seconds. Normally, I'd leave him in here to soak for about 10-15 minutes to let the alcohol dilute out. And then what I'll do is, we'll pretend that happened. I'm going to use, this is some of the detergent that I can't remember the name of, that my friend from Canada, Steve, sent me. It's a very cool detergent, because it has no colors and dyes and other stuff in it, so it doesn't leave a stringy mass of X detergent. You know, if you put Dial or whatever it is, Dawn, in water, stir it up, and then leave it overnight, when you come back, there'll be this gelatinous material floating in the water. I don't know what it is, probably some kind of chemical for keeping the stuff liquid or whatever. This doesn't have anything like that in it, so it's very pure. So I've gone into the soap, and then I go back into the water and back into the soap and back into the water. This is the point at which, if I was going to try to get anything, any really built up grime off him, I'd use a little bit of Decon 90 possibly. I'm not going to do that on this guy because he's so precious. I mean, he's the only one I've got, and his colors are just stunning and beautiful. So I pinned him back through his original pinhole with super glue, so he should stay on throughout the whole cleaning process. Somebody asked, would I pop him in the ultrasonic cleaner? No, I use the ultrasonic cleaner only for larger things, and generally not for hairy things like bees. This is too delicate. I'd be afraid I'd lose color from this. So can you guys see this okay? Oh, Chris just asked, are you going to use an ultrasonic cleaner? Yeah, the ultrasonic cleaner is a last resort, and for something like this, a little delicate bee that's been in alcohol for now 6 months, I don't think so. I'd have to be desperate. I don't even think I'm going to use any decon on him because the dirt he has on him is not that bad. What I'm going to do is switch to the microscope here so that I can show you the drying, combing, and de-dirting. There's a word for that. Oh yeah, cleaning. Let me get the other camera cooking. So this is, hopefully there won't be too much lag. Let me reposition the camera a bit. There is a lot of lag though, isn't there? And I'm not exactly sure whether or not the focus is working. I would have to say probably not at this point. There we go. So I of course have the advantage of being able to look through the microscope, which helps. And as long as you're still in focus, I think you are. I think we may be onto something. So there are two things I'm going to do. One is I'm going to use the blower to gently dry him, but I'm mostly going to rely on little tiny slivers of filter paper. These are just cut from circles of filter paper like this, and this is a particularly fast absorbing filter paper. They come in fast, medium, and slow, and what I do with these is I use them to comb the hair just by stroking the hair as it comes out of the body, and I'll show you this in close-up in a minute. And also I tuck it into the nooks and crannies underneath him, especially between his thorax and his head segment, where there is a pocket underneath the face. I wonder if there's any way to zoom in. Nope, there isn't, because I tried that earlier. Yeah, right underneath his face here is a declavity here that's full of hair, bristles, and if you don't stick something in that, see the moisture wicking out? I hope you can see that. It's just flowing out. It's almost filled this one little piece of paper, just touching it under there. This is a reservoir for wetness. Do you see that now? It's a bit too bright, isn't it, for you to see that one half's wet and one half's dry. But yeah, and just keep reaching for a fresh piece. As I was telling folks on Tuesday, this is how neurosurgeons mop up blood when they're operating on the brain or the spinal cord. They use little points of absorbent paper, and yeah, they do a great job. Those guys would be good at cleaning bees if they ever decided to do some real work. See these big fat thighs? If you look at these under the microscope, as you won't be able to this time, but you will eventually, see all that liquid coming out? if you look at these under the scope, you'll see that on the inside of each of these like saddlebag things, there's a, well, it's not on the inside, it's on the back. It's right at the tip of my pointer. There's a hole, and this is hollow. The whole thing's hollow, but it's got hair in it. So I guess it's not really hollow, is it? But the bee crawls inside an orchid to get the sweet juices from it, and then gets stuck because the orchid that he likes senses that the bee is there because of the way his various sensory fibers are titillated, and the flower swells up the petal that controls the exit from the flower, and the bee can't get out. And he spends half an hour or so struggling to get past this swelling of the petal. You think I'm making this up. I'm not. It's for real. And the whole time he's struggling back and forth, he's getting covered in pollen. And something else is happening too, and that is the aromatic chemicals that make the orchid smell so lovely are getting crammed into his hollow legs. He doesn't know anything about it. It's just his thighs are getting full of perfume. So after he's been doing this for a few days, he becomes quite a hit with the ladies. And eventually one thing leads to another, and yeah, there you go. And then he dies. And interestingly, when he dies, his legs are still full of the smelly stuff. He doesn't appear to do anything with it except go on a date. Did you know I was an expert in biology? I learned all this from a video. If I could remember the name of it, I'd tell you. Can you see how wet that one little sliver got by putting it up under his chin there? So I need to really look through the microscope and make sure I'm getting all of the stuff off before he gets any drier. So I'll do that. I hope you can still hear me and partially see me. See my fingers anyway. Okay, so when I look at the hair, it is matted and it is wet. So what I do is I pick one side of one limb, just like this, like I'm doing, if you can see that, and I am stroking the hair with the tip of the piece of paper. Every time I do, it fluffs up a bit and it pulls the water out. And I do that for every segment of every appendage until they're all looking fluffy and dry. And every few minutes I have to change the paper out because it gets wet, which is what happens when you use something to dry something else. And if you just keep doing this, then every time you see a bit of dirt, I'm using the point to lift the antenna away from his eye so it doesn't stick to his eye as it dries. There's another, there you go. So every time I see a piece of dirt, like the one that was on the tip of his jaw here, his mandible, I just wipe it off with one of my, there you go, with one of my points of paper. Now this is a proper cleaning this guy's getting now. And I just take the point and stick it under every little protuberance that has moisture underneath it. And especially underneath the face, because that you'll think you're done. Oh, I've lost my other hand. You'll think you're done, and then he'll keep getting wet from you don't know where, and it's from under here. So if you spend some time getting all of this water out, you'll get a better picture. Now, somebody, Case was asking me how I pose their extremities. And it's very much part of the drying process for me. I'll keep moving the extremities with my dry paper points and holding them for a second or two in the position I want. Like, I want this one down. So as I dry it and pull the water out of the hairs, I'm gently pulling it down. Another thing you can do is grab the claw with the tip of the paper like that and gently pull it down. Like so. And these are very, very, very fine movements. I mean, I'm not pulling it but a millimeter, and I'll rest it there for a minute, let it go back up, and eventually it'll stay down and I can sweep it back and make it look like it's trailing behind him as he flies, which is what I wanted to do. If this looks to you like an impossibly boring way to spend the afternoon, then there's a good chance that insect photography is not your cup of tea, because you have to do this. If you want to get really spectacular images of these things, you've got to get them clean and dry. So I haven't even started to work on the back, but I did want to show you his proboscis. You see, you might not be able to see, but I'll put some pictures in the in Patreon and Discord to show you. But starting right here where his mandible is, there is a structure that comes out, and it goes down the length of his body, between all of his extremities, goes down here, all the way to his tail. I'm just changing my grip, my hand's gone numb. All the way down to his bottom, right here. And if you look very carefully, you'll see a brown stick thing at the end of my... Can you see it? I hope so. That's his proboscis. That's his nectar sucker. It's all the way that's longer than his body. Can you imagine what life would be like if your tongue was that long? Anyway, yeah. So I want to show that. I want that to be part of the photograph. So I'm going to photograph him in flight with that thing trailing behind, which means I'm going to need to pull it down a little bit. And I'll do the same as I do with the appendages. Pull it down and hold it, and then rest it for a while. So there's nothing here that's very very difficult, or it's just tedious, and you have to just keep doing it until you can't find any more moisture. Any questions? I don't know. I can't take my eyes off what I'm doing, so I'll look in just a second. If it looks like I'm not being very systematic, it's because I'm not concentrating. But see, when you lift that leg away from the body, all of this moisture at the root of the wing, that has to be sucked out too. Oh, decon. If I was going to try to relax any of these appendages with decon, I would put the blob of decon, a drop, right at the base of the appendage where the tip of my paper is, for the middle appendage. One drop, and I'd leave it there, and you'll notice it soaks very, very quickly into the... I would normally show you, but I don't want to show you on this guy, because if it hurts him, I'd never forgive myself. So you'd put a drop there, and then immediately, or within about a minute, rinse him off. Don't let that decon sit there, because it'll decolor him, and eventually it'll rot his leg off. That stuff is very powerfully basic. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm just sucking liquid out, and you'll see that, I hope you can see that the color just gets brighter and brighter and brighter as more of the liquid is sucked off. And yeah, I guess what I should do is go read my messages, in case somebody said something like, hey, we can't see anything and we're going home. But let me finish drying this part here. You will be amazed when you do this with a bumblebee or one of these bees, that it'll feel like you've got a gallon of water off him, and you'll still be pulling water off. Let me show you how you comb his back, because on our bees, you have a lot more hair on the back. Is that in focus? I hope so. So on the back, I'll take the paper, and I'll use the edge, not the point, and I'll go opposite away from the head towards the tail, and just keep going in that same direction. And it won't appear to be doing anything until all of a sudden, when they're dry, they'll fluff up right in front of your eyes. You can go right down in between the body segments like that, and just hold it there. Look at the colors that are coming up on him. These bees are just amazing. And you know, as if they weren't already charming enough, they don't sting. They've got a stinger, but they don't use it. Isn't that nice? So they're friendly as well as beautiful. And around the oculi, right at the top of their head, is another place to take your time and get those bits of dirt out. That was one of the places that there was a crystal or something of dirt. Oh, that looks better already. You can get lots of liquid out from in between the head and the thorax too. All right, is this too much like watching grass grow? It is not a real spectator sport, is it? It's more of a something you'd want to do yourself. So go buy an orchid bee from a reputable dealer. They're South American bees. Oh, he's just so beautiful. And I'd probably take another half hour to get him completely clean and dry. So when I get through with this stream, I'll probably end up having to wet him again and start over because I know I didn't get all of the bits of dirt off him. So what do you do for positioning? Well, if you're a blue tack kind of guy like I am, just take a blob of blue tack. That looked a lot bigger than it really is. I'll show you here in focus and you'll see it's not very big. It's just a little worm of it. And I'll pull it out like that. And then I'll cut a piece off. And then I wrap this worm of blue tack around the base of the pin. Like this, in multiple layers until it forms a kind of a pyramid of blue tack. And this is all I do for positioning. For positioning the bee, I will stick this onto my stage, and I will, for this guy, I want him flying towards the camera. I want him swinging in to the right, nose down, like that. And see how I'm not even touching the pin. I'm touching the blue tack. Let me move it back to where you can see it. So if I want him nose down, I just push down in that direction. I can push the pin around to turn him, and I can tip him like that. And now's a good time, if you're going to position appendages, you can ever so gently just hold them with your tweezer, and they'll stay in position as it dries. Last thing you're going to do is give the wings a nice dry. The older the bee is, meaning the longer you've had it in alcohol, the more careful you've got to be. Just the wind alone can tear the wings. So always blow in the direction of the aerodynamic direction, so that you don't force the wings to go forward. You'll crack them. There you go. That's just such a beautiful bee. I wonder if I can get a kind of a macro-y look from my phone. Probably not, but we'll give it a try. Let me switch cameras here. Just chat amongst yourselves. You know, I was explaining this on Tuesday, but there is going to be. This is now the phone view. There are going to be some changes coming to the channel, and I've lost the cameras. There they are. There are going to be some changes coming, and I think you're going to be super excited about how much slicker these live streams are going to be. I don't know that I can zoom in for some reason on this. No, apparently you can't on this app, or can you? No. I don't know. Let me see. No, I don't know how you do it. So anyway, all of this stuff that's so amateurish will get markedly better when I know what I'm doing. There we go. So he's ready to photograph. We'll give it another try, and we'll see if I can get it without focus banding. Let me see if has everybody gone home. I always fear that when I get through doing something off camera that I'll come back and everybody will have gone. Whoa! Does anybody want a job coming in here and sitting here and doing all of this stuff while I just pay attention to something else? That would be fun. I won't pay you anything, so it won't be as much fun as you thought. Let me read some questions. Harold, have I tried to put the insects on top of a small bag containing silica gel to dry them? No need to. The silica gel would dry them only if they were in a closed environment with the silica gel. But the issue is, unless you have something gigantic, it would just make it harder, actually, because it would dry it too fast. The wetness of your bee, and I will talk specifically about bees, is a huge advantage early in the cleaning process, because when he's wet, he'll stick to the paper. He'll stick to the filter paper, allowing you to reposition limbs and to pin him and all that. When he dries, he no longer sticks to the paper. But if he dries too quick, you lose all of that valuable positioning time. So yeah, it's definitely all about the timing. Sometimes with bumblebees, I will re-wet them. Interestingly, talking to Rik the other night, last night, he was telling me that he never wets any of these insects, and I completely understand avoiding it, and that's what I teach people to do. The only reason I wet bees is because I've got quite good at drying them. But if you aren't going to dry them with paper like that, you probably shouldn't wet them in the first place. I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say, I'll say this again. If you've got a bee that has been stored wet, or an insect that has been stored wet, keep it wet. If it's been dry, if you bought it dry, pinned it dry, photographed it dry, it's still dry, store it dry, keep it dry forever. If you have a dry one that gets wet, just a little bit damp while you're cleaning it, you can keep it dry. But if you end up doing what I've done with this guy, soaking him and immersing him and all that, from that point on he's a wet insect. That's just the safest way to do it. And I would advise against spot cleaning an insect. If you put him on the camera stand and you notice he's got a blob of dirt, just start over. As soon as you try to do it up on the camera stand, you'll knock his head off. Happens all the time. Try explaining that to the family when somebody comes in for their class portrait and you knock their head off. It's impossible. Okay. This macro stuff is a right pain. Okay. What did you think you were going to find here, Lee, on Macro Talk 2? Tried to buy some bugs, but no, you've become a botanist now. Okay, well, you don't like the names of the beetles. That's part of the thing I like about them, is the names, because you can chatter away to somebody and yeah, they have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, it's well, Chris likes that 3D image that I showed. Well, just wait till Saturday, because we're going to see some real 3D images that were expertly shot. But but thank you though. But thank you. Let me see. Norway, Harold. Yes, good. Glad you made it. And Phil from Cambria. Cold in California. I didn't think that was possible. All right. Let me see. Yeah, I know about the face thing. It's I've told you this before. Last time I'll even bring it up. But yes, I ordered the switcher, the loop deck thing, something deck thing, and yeah, I'm learning how to use it before it even gets here. Did you figure out, Bud, how to moderate? I wish I could tell you, but anyway, I'll figure it out before next time. From Romania, Mihai, welcome. Good to have you back. Angie's got a question about the depth of field charts. You've been using one to calculate steps. Are they different for full frame and crop? No, the depth of field is going to, well, the calculator will do it differently. It depends what table you're using. The problem is, basically what I learned last night is the tables that I used 10 years ago when I started doing this were wrong, and wrong by a factor of 4. I would urge you to switch from using the tables to using the calculator. In fact, let me show you the calculator. That's a good idea. If you want to really know how the calculation is done, come on Saturday. But this is, we're back in Zerene here. And if you go to Tools, Calculators, Depth of Field Calculator, this is what you get. And this is much, much more accurate. I'll try to get Rik to tell you the story of how this calculator came to be. But yes, your sensor width is one of the things that you enter. So 24 for APS-C, 36 for full frame. Your subject width will determine what your magnification is. I still get confused about what this means, but it's actually the width of your sensor at the magnification you're using it. Lens aperture. For those of you who shoot with Nikon, there are a couple of different numbers that you would want to use. If you're using a microscope objective, for example, you'd use the numeric aperture that's written on the objective. But if you're using a lens, and I was using a macro lens for this, if you were using a Canon lens at f8, it would give you, if you just put the lens f number in and you put it in as f8, your actual effective aperture would be twice that at these settings. It would be f16. And that's good information to know, because we try to keep it under 20 to avoid diffraction softening. But what about if our camera was a Nikon, like I was shooting with a Nikon at f5.6? Well, that's not the lens f number. It's the same as the effective f number, because Nikon corrects for, in macro lenses, it corrects for the distance by giving you an adjusted number. So when you set your Nikon lens to f5.6, you're actually getting f5.6, including the distance. So the effective f number is the f number, 5.6. So that's worth knowing. The pupil ratio, we'll talk about it on Saturday, but you can measure it by looking down both ends of the lenses and measuring the size of the opening and then dividing them. That'll give you the pupil ratio if you want to use it. The number of pixels across, that's more important probably than the actual size of the sensor. And then the circle of confusion is that I'm going to let Rik discuss all of this, the difference between the classic model and the wave optics model that I like to use now. And you'll see that with a full frame camera at 1:1 with a macro lens at f5.6 on a Nikon, my depth of field is what? 69 microns. 69 microns, and I'm shooting at 250 micron steps. And that's not even counting for a step overlap, which drops it to 51 microns. So I'm off by an order of, half an order of magnitude. I'm off by a factor of 5. I'm shooting this B at 200 or 250 micron steps when it's actually 50 micron steps to get good overlap. That is quite shocking for somebody who's been doing this for as long as I have. Now, admittedly, this calculator takes into account a lot more stuff, and it's very conservative on its length, recommended step length. But the proof's in the pudding. If you've got focus banding the way you're doing it, it's time to take a close look at the calculation. I recommend that's what you do, and throw the tables out the window, because I pulled up the table and showed it to Rik last night, the one that I was using, and it said 400 and something microns was the step length with these settings. So there you go. Live and learn. What was I looking for? Oh, the messages. let me see. What have who have I missed? So, ultrasonic cleaner, Chris was asking. Ultrasonic cleaner's magic, and it does work for Max if you don't have wax, if you don't have Cellusolve on hand, which I don't think anybody does. But dry cleaning fluid works too. And the place to get that is, if you're in America, if you get a brake cleaner, the stuff that comes in a red and black can and smells like dry cleaning fluid, that's the stuff. That will take almost everything off of almost everything. Very good stuff. Nature Clean. Yes, Gilles, how did you know that? Nature Clean is it. And it's a white bottle with blue labels on it. And if you know somebody in Canada and you get them to send it to you, it'll be here in a year or thereabouts. They walk it down to you. But yeah, that's the stuff. Nature Clean, and it is great. Chris, it's what? How many degrees is that? 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's almost that hot here in Adelaide. Always wanted to go there. Is it nice? Well, it would be, or you wouldn't have stayed there, right? The message just came up saying now would be a good time to insert ads. And I don't even know how to do that, so I'm not going to. Hey, Helen, how are you doing? You're late this evening, but that's okay. We weren't doing anything, just cleaning bees. Let me see, some questions. One from Dave Brown. While I know your EL Nickel 52.8N is better, I may be getting the non-N version at $25. Yes, absolutely. It is usable. Optically, it's the same lens. It has the same lens formula, the same arrangement of elements. The only difference that I'm aware of is that the old one has a completely metal body without the plastic scalloping on it, and the new one, the plastic one, has coatings, and the coatings make a difference. You're much more likely to have lens flare on the old one than the new one, and you can have some problems with contrast. But if you use a lens hood, especially if you can get your hands on one of Bud's lens hoods. Can I go over and get it? I'm going to go get it. Getting the lens too. I couldn't find the lens, it was on another shelf, but Bud P made this. This is like the microscope objective hoods he makes, only it's for the EL Nikkor, and it slides over the entire thing, so it also blocks that window that light gets in where the aperture is, the aperture window. This thing is incredible, and this would greatly assist if you were using the non-N version. So something like this would be brilliant. I can see the lens. I'm going to go get it. Oh, wrong box. I know that there's something really unprofessional about just disappearing like that. But there you go. This is either my lens or the one that Robert donated. But this is the non-N version of the 50mm f2.8, and it's a gorgeous lens. Exactly the same optically as the N, but this, you see, this is for the N version lens. It's a loose fit, so what you would want to do with that's backwards the way I'm putting it in. Hang on. This is too loose, so you'd want to put an insert or something around this. Bud would know what you'd do, probably another piece of this, but it's made for the N version, which is the one that has the plastic around it at the top, and this is a perfect fit like that. Again, I'm putting it in backwards, you understand. It looks like a lunar module, doesn't it? If you put one piece of tape in there, that's it going in the right way around. It's like the lunar escape module. There you go. And it just slides right in, like so. And it's perfect. It works great. I've been using it continuously. So if anybody's a 3D printer and you want a copy of the print file, Bud has said he will share it with anybody who wants it. So there you go. Can't beat that. I've never had the problem of having too many EL Nickels to know which box to put them in, but it's temporary. Somebody's going to win this right out from under me. Oh, does anybody want to buy a Nikon, or Nickel I should say, 600mm f4 lens? You know what that is? It's bigger than you are, and with the lens hood on, it's as long as a limousine. It's what you use for photographing birds and golfers and things like that. A friend of mine has one for sale at a price that, talk to me if you're interested in it. Serious inquiries only, and probably need to be somewhere in America, I would guess. You'd have to rent a shipping container, I think, to move this thing to Europe. But anyway, if anybody's interested, get in touch with me. The price is obscenely good on this, and the lens has been cared for extraordinarily well. So, yeah, I would buy it if I had those coins knocking around. Questions? Did I answer your question? Yes, you can use the non-end version with the PB6 bellows and you will love every second of it. It's a fantastic combination. And I would add, if you have a Raynox, that combination is also fantastic, to use the Raynox with the EL Nickel. Somebody who doesn't live in my house just rode a bicycle into my garage. You don't need to know that, do you? That's my problem. I'll deal with it. Can you use a coffee filter? Yeah, that's a really good point, and I'd never thought about that. A coffee filter would be great. It would be it would probably be super fast as far as the absorption rate goes, but absolutely you could use a coffee filter or blotting paper. Do you remember blotting paper? Old people will remember that. It's what you used to use to mop up ink when you spilled it on paper when I was in school. Yeah. So yes, you could. Brilliant idea, that. And there's another thing that you can use that have you ever heard of gutta percha? Gutta percha is a kind of stuff. It's an absorbent, papery, rubbery material that the endodontists use when they do root canals. They have these points of paper points they're called, and they stick them down inside your tooth root from the top after drilling a hole in it. Now, I don't recommend you do that. I don't even recommend you have that done. But if you want to buy those things and use them to clean bees, they're the best. They really are, but it's an extravagant way to go. Somebody gave me a packet of them and I loved it, but they're costly. And if you get a tooth abscess in the process, you can do it right there and then. You don't have to go to the dentist. I'm not recommending that, by the way. That would be a bad idea. That was a joke. All right, moving on. What type of magnifying lamp am I using? Which one? I've got a Janslow bendy arm light. I've got my BenQ desk lamp, and that's the microscope light. That's a Schott, SCHOTT, German LED ring light. Let me see if I can grab the iPhone camera. Has gone to sleep, I'm afraid. I'll tell you what I will do is I'll show you on the. We're almost out of time, but let me show you on the other camera so that you can see what it looks like. There it is. out of focus, but there we are. It's, I kind of, oh no, you can't see it, can you? There it is. I glued it on there with all kinds of homemade stuff. It's, I'll tell you what, I'll take a picture of it, Jamie, and I'll send it to you. But it's just a double ring of LED lights. It's very old and not in tremendous shape anymore, but it serves the purpose. I like it. So we answered that. Alistair David Brown, Allan extols the virtues of the 2.8N, yes. With the PB6 bellows, yes. Up to 3.5 times mag, yes. Check. All correct. Yeah, 25 pounds or $25. That you can't go wrong at $25. I would buy another non-N lens for 25. And I've got several of them right here, but they're great to have. It's such a good lens, It does look like a ginormous microscope hood, but it works fantastically well. Alrighty. Now, Angie, you've discovered you can do decent stacks with less than 50 photos when you have been doing about 200. So thought I would try to understand the depth of field and overlap between the steps better. Angie, come to Saturday's shindig. It's free. It's your time. It's going to be at 6 o'clock in the evening on Saturday. Get there early, because the way I'm advertising this, there might be 100 people, but it's an actual Zoom meeting. I put the invitation in Discord, so come and we will talk about this. We will talk about step length and what really matters. And if you want to send me a couple of your photographs, we'll talk about how you can do that. Let me look at them and see if you have any focus banding going on there, because if you've gone from 200 to 50, you might. Okay, let me see. Mike Frederick talking about the Schneider Companon S, the 2.8 50mm enlarging lens. $50 on eBay. That is a good price if you can get one. I have not seen one for under $100 in forever. Companon S. Yeah, well, if you can find one at that price, definitely buy it. It's a beautiful lens. Let me see. I guess people have to get back to work. I know that in Peoria you have to be back at work by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whenever it is. Be fun to have a shootout. You've got the lights photar. Yeah, I'll put my 2 cents on that one, on that contest. The EL Nikkor is going to demolish the lights photar for sure, but we'll do that. Always dreamed of a 600mm f4. Yep, it's no, it depends. It's 1.5 Mitutoyos, depending on which Mitutoyos. It's probably about 100x Mitutoyo, and it's much bigger, very much bigger. Get in touch with me and I'll let you know the details. Let me see. Baconmeister left me a message and then took it away again. We should all use Mitutoyos as a monetary term. Yeah, if we could afford to, that would be nice. 3D printer file has been uploaded to Discord. Good. It's in the lenses and gear section. There you go. February the 22nd is where it is. But that's not for the big boy. That's for the other one, the little one, the Mitutoyo one. Angie will be there on Saturday. So will Bud. Bud will also be with me on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock in the morning California time, and some other time of the day in Australia, or some day in Australia, because Bud and I are doing a Photoshop for beginners course thing. It's a, what is it? It's a workshop, we'll call it. It's 1 hour, and that one is a live stream. Everybody's invited. It's a live stream just like this. Go to my channel. It'll be 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. We'll do that, then we'll take a brief break and be back with the Zoom meeting. And yeah, if you are a beginner, do come at 10 o'clock and feel free to hang around for the afternoon session. But if you're a serious macro photographer, been doing this a while and think you've got it figured out, definitely come on Saturday afternoon, because I guarantee you're going to hear something that's going to change the way you do things. It's going to be that interesting. I have come to the conclusion, as I said in the message I sent out today, that learning stereo has been probably the most important process in learning macro that I have ever done. And there are reasons for that, and we'll talk about them all on Saturday. It's very demanding, very exacting. Thank you everybody for coming. You guys are the best. And the next time I talk to you, on this live stream, it will be to make some announcements about things that are going to be different and things that are going to be improved. And from this point forth, you're going to see improvements every week. Okay, some big things getting ready to happen. Take care, stay safe, and be well. I will see hopefully all of you on Saturday, or some of you on Saturday. We all good? We all good? Team, you all good? Yep, my team's all good too. See you next time. Take care. Oh, sorry, a question just came through from Harold. If you put a dry insect in a freezer, it will get wet and moist as soon as you take it out. Yes, okay, he's answering the question for him. If you put a wet insect in the freezer, it will also dehydrate it. So don't, yeah, just know that. Here we go. I'm just answering again. All right, I'm gonna leave it to you guys to chit chat until I press the button. See you later. See you later, Curious. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.